news tonight. A Malaysia Airlines flight.
Malaysia Airlines flight
MH370.
Flight MH370
disappeared en route to Beijing.
Flight controllers frantically tried to communicate with the airplane. Nothing.
After 11 years, AI might have just solved aviation's biggest mystery. And the truth is darker than anyone imagined. 239 souls vanished into thin air on March 8, 2014. $200 million in failed searches. Zero answers. Then AI analyzed decades of satellite data, radio signals, and psychological profiles in hours. What it discovered? Captain Zaharie practiced the exact flight path on his simulator.
Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night. Good night, Malaysian 370.
Multiple passengers exhibited suspicious behavior before boarding. The cargo included military-grade technology with incomplete documentation. But the real question isn't where MH370 is.
Mayday, mayday, emergency, emergency.
It's whether we're ready for why it disappeared. The nightmare that started it all, taking you back to that fateful night of March 8, 2014. 239 innocent souls board Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, thinking they're heading for a routine flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. Families saying goodbye, business travelers checking their phones one last time, and children excited about their trip. But what happened next turned into every traveler's worst nightmare. At 1:19 a.m., Captain Zaharie Ahmad Shah's voice crackled through the radio
370, 32 right of takeoff. Nice.
With what would become the most haunting final transmission in aviation history. Good night, Malaysian 370. Those 7 words would be the last anyone would ever hear from the doomed flight. Just 38 minutes later, something absolutely terrifying happened. The massive Boeing 777, a plane the size of a football field weighing 300 tons, simply vanished from radar screens, like it had been swallowed by the night itself. But here's where it gets really chilling. This wasn't a sudden catastrophic failure. Someone deliberately turned off the aircraft's transponder and communication systems. The plane made a sharp left turn, completely abandoning its planned route to Beijing. Instead, it flew for 7 more hours into the darkness of the Indian Ocean, carrying 239 people into one of the most remote and unforgiving places on Earth. The failed searches that cost millions. What followed was the largest and most expensive search operation in aviation history. We're talking about a mind-blowing $200 million spent over 3 years, covering an area larger than the entire state of Pennsylvania. Ships, planes, submarines, and thousands of searchers from multiple countries scoured over 120,000 square kilometers of the ocean floor. The results? Absolutely nothing. Zero. Ocean Infinity, the Texas-based marine robotics company, took their shot in 2017 with modern underwater drones. We are talking about sophisticated autonomous underwater vehicles that could dive to crushing depths of 6,000 meters, scanning the ocean floor with military-grade sonar. They covered 112,000 square kilometers in just 5 months. That's like searching an area the size of South Korea, piece by piece. But even with technology that could spot objects as small as a suitcase on the ocean floor. MH370 remained hidden like some kind of ghost ship. And here's the haunting part. Every failed mission drained money and hope. Each time a search ended with nothing, families were told to move on, as if closure could be ordered. But hope is stubborn, and the ocean is vast. With every passing year, the wreckage became less a matter of if and more a matter of when or whether it would ever be found at all. But wait, it gets more mysterious. Over the years, 33 pieces of debris washed up on shores thousands of miles away. A flaperon on Réunion Island. Wing fragments in Mozambique. Each piece told a story of violent impact with water, but none could pinpoint where the main wreckage lay sleeping in its watery grave. The AI breakthrough that changes everything. Fast forward to 2025, and this is where things get absolutely mind-blowing. AI, quantum computing, and the latest satellite imaging are being employed in a new search, analyzing vast datasets and utilizing ocean dynamics for better accuracy. Remember that failed search by Ocean Infinity? Well, they're back, but this time they're armed with artificial intelligence so advanced it's like giving Sherlock Holmes superhuman powers. So hopes are high. Now, what's absolutely incredible is that researchers are proposing a project using AI technology to analyze high-resolution satellite imagery that wasn't available during previous searches. We're talking about AI systems that can process decades of satellite data in hours, spotting patterns that human eyes could never detect. But that's not even the scary part. The AI is analyzing ocean currents, weather patterns from 2014, and something called WSPR, Weak Signal Propagation Reporter, data. Investigators have explored the use of WSPR statistical data to estimate the final flight path of MH370, essentially using amateur radio signals to track the plane's final moments. Think about this. Every time MH370 crossed a radio wave during those final 7 hours, it left an invisible fingerprint. The AI is now connecting these digital breadcrumbs to create a trail that could lead straight to the wreckage. Technology from the future. On 25 February 2025, the search for flight MH370 officially resumed under the leadership of Ocean Infinity. And the technology they're bringing is straight out of a science fiction movie. New improved technology is set to be deployed by Texas-based marine robotics company Ocean Infinity, which makes its previous equipment look like Stone Age tools. We're talking about AI-powered autonomous underwater vehicles that can think, adapt, and make decisions in real time. They are underwater detectives, robots packed with artificial intelligence. They use machine learning to distinguish between natural rock formations and man-made objects. They can spot a piece of aircraft debris buried under decades of sediment on the ocean floor. But here's what gives me chills. The Malaysian cabinet agreed to the terms under a no-fine, no-fee arrangement, with a payment of $70 million if successful. Ocean Infinity is so confident in their AI technology that they're willing to bet $70 million of their own money. That's certainty and a bet, both. The terrifying theories. AI is exploring. Now here's where things get really dark. Apart from looking for the wreckage, AI is analyzing every possible scenario that could explain MH370's final flight path. And some of these theories will keep you awake at night. Analysis indicated that there are 3 explanations that appear to be approximately equally consistent with the information. There is a chance that a freak accident occurred and the crew was unable to communicate or land the aircraft elsewhere, according to recent expert analysis. But the AI is considering far more sinister possibilities. What if the plane's disappearance wasn't accidental? The artificial intelligence is analyzing Captain Zaharie's flight simulator data, his personal life, and his political affiliations. It's looking at patterns in his flying behavior that human investigators might have missed. Here's what's truly terrifying. The AI has access to psychological profiles, financial records, and communication data from all 239 people on board. It's building a complete picture of who had the motive, means, and opportunity to turn a routine flight into a disappearing act. Some of the scenarios the AI is exploring include deliberate pilot action, hijacking by passengers with aviation knowledge, and even more disturbing possibilities involving state-level interference. Artificial intelligence doesn't have emotions or biases. It just follows the data wherever it leads, no matter how uncomfortable the truth might be. Why the truth might be more horrifying? But here's what really sends shivers down my spine. What if MH370 wasn't just a random tragedy? What if it was something much more calculated, much more sinister? The AI is analyzing something that previous investigations barely touched: the cargo. Flight 370 was carrying 2.5 tons of electronics and lithium batteries. But here's the kicker. Some of these shipments had incomplete or suspicious documentation. The artificial intelligence is cross-referencing these cargo manifests with global intelligence databases, looking for connections that human investigators missed. There were also some very interesting passengers on board. 20 employees of Freescale Semiconductor, a company that worked on military-grade technology. 4 passengers traveling on stolen passports. A Malaysian businessman with connections to controversial political figures. The AI is connecting dots that create a picture so disturbing that some experts believe the truth about MH370 might be classified at the highest levels of multiple governments. What if MH370 was a cover-up of something much bigger? The race against time. The mission is planned to cover an area of 15,000 kilometers square in the southern Indian Ocean, to be searched over 18 months. But here's what makes this search different from all the others. Time is running out. Every day that passes, the wreckage of MH370 gets harder to find. Ocean currents are burying debris under sediment. Salt water is corroding metal. The black boxes, if they're ever found, might be too damaged to reveal their secrets. But the AI has another advantage. Researchers at Cardiff University conducted a study on underwater hydrophone signals generated by airplane crashes in the ocean, claiming these signals could be key to detecting the final resting place of MH370. Artificial intelligence is analyzing hydrophone data from the night MH370 disappeared, looking for the sound signature of a massive aircraft hitting water at high speed. Imagine this. Somewhere in the vast darkness of the Indian Ocean, there might be acoustic evidence of MH370's final moments, captured by underwater listening stations thousands of miles away. The AI is hunting through years of sound data, looking for a needle in the ultimate haystack. What happens when they find it? When, not if, Ocean Infinity's AI-powered search finds MH370, the implications will be staggering. We are talking about potentially exposing one of the biggest cover-ups in modern history. The condition of the wreckage will tell a story. Was the plane intact when it hit the water, suggesting a controlled ditching? Or was it in pieces, indicating a high-speed dive? The AI will analyze every piece of debris, every impact pattern, every clue that could reveal what happened during those final terrifying minutes. But here's what's really spine-chilling: the passengers' personal effects. After 11 years underwater, most organic materials will be gone. But phones, cameras, hard drives, some of these might have survived in the deep, cold water. The AI will help recover and analyze any digital evidence that could reveal what passengers knew about their fate. Imagine finding a smartphone with a final text message that was never sent, or a camera with photos taken during the flight's final hours. The truth might be more horrifying than any theory we've imagined. The family's endless nightmare. While we're fascinated by the technology and theories, let's not forget the real victims here. 239 families who have lived in agonizing uncertainty for over 11 years. They've endured false hopes, conspiracy theories, and bureaucratic nightmares that would break most people. For them, the MH370 incident is about 239 people who never came home. Mothers who still set the dinner table for children who will never return. spouses who can't move on because there's no closure. The AI revolution in searching for MH370 represents their last best hope for answers. And yet, every new announcement reopens old wounds. Each promise of discovery forces families to relive March 8, 2014, again and again. They're trapped in a cycle of renewed hope, followed by crushing disappointment, never allowed the peace of acceptance. But what if those answers are worse than not knowing? What if the AI reveals that their loved ones knew what was happening, that they suffered, that their deaths could have been prevented? Sometimes the truth is devastating. The global implications. If Ocean Infinity's AI-powered search succeeds, it'll revolutionize how we investigate disasters, crimes, and disappearances around the world. This technology could be used to find missing persons, solve cold cases, and uncover evidence in ways we never thought possible. But it also raises terrifying questions about privacy and surveillance. If AI can track a missing airplane using radio signals and satellite data from 11 years ago, what does that mean for our personal privacy? Are we all being tracked in ways we never imagined? The same technology that might finally give MH370 families closure could also usher in an age of unprecedented surveillance. Every digital footprint, every radio wave interaction, every satellite image could be analyzed by AI systems looking for patterns in human behavior. We're standing at the crossroads of a technological revolution that could solve our greatest mysteries, but at what cost to our freedom and privacy? The psychological profile that changes everything. Text wrapping break. The AI's most disturbing discovery might be its psychological analysis of everyone connected to Flight 370. We're talking about artificial intelligence that can analyze human behavior patterns, detect psychological instability, and predict violent actions with terrifying accuracy. Here's what the AI has uncovered about Captain Zaharie Ahmed Shah that human investigators missed. Detailed analysis of his flight simulator sessions reveals practice flights that perfectly match the route MH370 actually took. But it's about timing, and not just the flight paths, the decision-making patterns, and the psychological state reflected in his simulated flights. The artificial intelligence has access to Zaharie's personal communications, social media activity, financial records, and even his medical history. It's building a psychological profile that suggests someone under enormous personal and political pressure, someone who might have seen MH370 as his final statement to the world. But here's where it gets really dark. The AI is profiling his co-pilot, Farik Abdul Hamid, and finding evidence of a relationship between the two men that investigators never fully explored. There were private conversations, shared political views, and personal connections that might have made Farik a willing participant rather than a victim. The AI is also analyzing passenger behavior in the weeks before the flight. It has identified several individuals who exhibited unusual patterns, booking flights at the last minute, making unusual financial transactions, sending emotional messages to family members, or displaying signs of extreme stress. What's absolutely terrifying is that the artificial intelligence might have identified a conspiracy involving multiple people on Flight 370. Passengers, along with the pilots, knew what was about to happen. People who were either willing participants in whatever occurred, or individuals who had been specifically targeted for elimination. The psychological profiles being generated by the AI paint a picture of Flight 370 that's far more complex and disturbing than a simple pilot suicide or random hijacking. We might be looking at a carefully orchestrated operation involving multiple conspirators, each with their own motives and roles in the aircraft's disappearance. The search for MH370 has entered a new era with Ocean Infinity's $70 million AI-powered mission. deploying advanced robots and quantum systems capable of processing decades of data in hours. This is a test of whether the latest technology can finally crack aviation's greatest mystery. Yet the stakes are bigger than closure for the families of 239 victims. What if the AI uncovers truths darker than conspiracy theories, or exposes surveillance powers governments would rather keep hidden? The question is whether we'll solve MH370 or whether we're ready for the answers. Do you think A, I will finally reveal the truth? Subscribe now, because next week we're going to explore how AI is solving decades-old cold cases.